Shalom, people. This is Brother Laws coming at you with another video. And Mark 5:5 says, "And always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs crying and cutting himself with stones." This is talking about the demoniac, the man that was filled with demons, that Yeshua was coming through his town, and he had to cast the spirit out of this man. And as I was thinking about tattooing some days ago, this scripture came to my mind, because at one time, I guess going about 30 to 40 years ago, the only people that you really seen with tattoos like that was people that was in the military, people that was in biker gangs, maybe, fraternities where they, got tattoos, brands on their arm, or people that was, into Satanism or some other things where they was, trying to, let you know that they was in league with the devil, or people that had been in prison. And so when this thing first came into fruition, where you seen all people of all ages, young and old, rich and poor, getting these tattoos, I was, in the mind that where did this come from? Because even before I knew we were the people, I knew that what the Bible said about tattooing, and that I knew, okay, growing up as a teenager, and even if I had stayed at my dad's house, I knew there was two things that I was not going to do in my body and step into his house. Number one, I was not going to get no tattoo. And number two, I wasn't going to get my ears pierced, because back at that time, around the mid to late 80s, you start seeing, black guys. First, they started off with just one ear. They would have their ears pierced. They would just, all they would have was a little stud, gold stud in it. They wouldn't have no diamonds and stuff like they got today. But I knew I wasn't going to do that, because back at that time, if you had a stud earring in your ear as a man, you was considered to be either a pimp, a drug dealer, or you was sweet on yourself, and you try to keep from getting a strike from YouTube. You know what I mean? And so I said, when these things start coming in, I knew it was something that was happening in the earth. And it was so funny last week, when I was thinking on this thing of tattoos. You got to move when the Most High say move. I didn't make the video right then. I sat and I contemplated, and sure enough, it was a channel. This lady, I think she's belief in Hebrew, but she was talking about the tattooing. So I kind of felt, well, maybe I don't need to do it, but the Most High said, no, go ahead and do it. Because every little bit helps out there. Somebody else that might not see her channel might see this channel and come to understand that in Leviticus, but even without Leviticus, without the Bible, when you come to understand what tattooing deals with, it deals with the recognition of the dead, right? That the dead, that you're saying that the dead will forever be with you, right? And or if it's somebody that's alive, that you're saying that you're branding them into you. And if you understand anything about what the Bible talks about, familiar spirits, right? That person that's tattooed into your skin is not that person. But I can assure you that a spirit will follow behind you off of the fact that you put that tattoo on yourself. That spirit will follow you, because just as the Mark 5:5 said, the man was cutting himself, so therefore blood was dripping from him. He was in a place of death, right, in the tombs, cutting himself. And as one would cut himself in the or as one would cut a animal that was cutting back in the Old Testament, and even today, you was cutting a blood covenant, right? So as this demoniac man was cutting himself in a place of death, where there's a lot of demonic spirits, that he was allowing access and entrance into his body with those cuttings, for those spirits to so consume him that only the master, Yeshua, could be able to cast out the numerous amounts of spirits that were in him. So that even though you're saying you're going to a tattoo parlor where it's all sanctioned by the state and the health board and all these things, it's still yet cutting in your flesh. It's still cutting in your flesh. And you're cutting a covenant not with the spirit of that person that you're saying you're trying to keep their memory alive. You're cutting a covenant with a demonic spirit, right? Because think about this. If the Bible talks about in the book of 1 Corinthians about us, and this can be men or women. It doesn't have to just be men. But he talks about a man that lays down with a prostitute, with a whore, as Paul calls it. He said that, don't you understand that y'all spirits are intertwined together when y'all are yet copulating together, and that even after you might move on in your life as that man or as that woman, just for the fact that you and that woman or that man interacted with each other, y'all spirits intertwine with each other, and there's gonna be some kind of imprint left on them. That's when you have these memories, when you think of bygone days, and that's that spirit that has been that residual of that has to be dealt with. It's the same with the tattoos, right? That you have, that if you have done these things, you have allowed entrance of these spirits to come into you. And let's just say the one that you got the tattoo of, that maybe y'all broke up, right? But you still got the tattoo on your body. What's gonna happen every time that you see that tattoo, or you get that person's name tattooed? It's gonna be the same way with what Paul said, when you sleeping with a prostitute or a woman, vice versa, whatever. Or if that person, like I said, is your loved one that has passed on, that the Bible have meant for us to cut ties with the dead. And also that if you moving on in your, let's just say you get married, right? And you got that tattoo from that. What do you think your loved one's gonna say every time you take off your shirt or whatever, and you got that one tattoo on you, right? Not to mention, like I said, you're opening yourself up to demonic impression and obsession. Even if it's your wife, even if it's your husband, even if it's your boyfriend, girlfriend, we are not to, because that thing is not them. If you have them right there with you, that should be enough. When the Most High sees fit to take them away, they gone. What did Yeshua tell the man that said, I won't follow you, but and basically the interpretation of what he was trying to tell Yeshua when he said, I must bury my father. He wasn't saying that his father was dead. He was saying, I gotta stay around here because my father is old, and I gotta be prepared for him when he dies so I can bury him, right? Because that was the customs back then. But who knows how long his father was. So therefore, Yeshua said, follow me and let the dead bury the dead. Let the people back in the village, let other people within your family do the thing that needs to be done when he dies. I have stuff that I need for you to do right now, right? Because it could be that he gonna live out the longer period of time than what you think, and I got stuff that needs to be done right now. So let the dead bury the dead. But in the sense of what we are saying is, after that one gets in the ground, that after a period of mourning, however long it may be, after a certain amount of time, we have to move on. And therefore, that's why tattooing them into your skin is not a good idea. And not to mention, the Bible speaks against it. And so we have seen that even now, at once the what we call the Christian church at one time spoke against these things, right? But now what we see is that now it is some yet churches that are encouraging men and women to get tattooed for the Messiah, get the crosses and get the pictures of the white Jesus or the black Jesus or angels or whatever tattooed into your skin. And this is not of the Most High Yah. I'm here to tell you. Now, after you got saved or after you committed yourself or whatever, and you got the tattoo, obviously it's nothing you can do about it. You can't, unless you got a tremendous amount of money to get it removed, and I would hate if you got any facial tattoos, because, y'all help you, but it ain't nothing you can do after that. But I'm telling you, it just makes me feel that when it's time for people to take the mark of the beast with all this tattoos and stuff, it's not gonna be no big thing. We already see, with this another people that was known for tattoos were people that was using heroin also to cover up the needle marks. But yeah, all these things, right, that the Most High is waking our people up to. I'm hoping that we see a downturn in these tattoos, because these things are cutting covenants, and we see why is it such a large amount of our people we see having all these psychotic breaks and different things going on. I submit to you, because of all this tattooing, just like the demoniac that was cutting himself, that they cutting covenants, right? And demons is filling people left and right. I can remember when me and my wife, we were living in another part of town, and it was this food line we used to go to, and it was this young Caucasian girl that was at the register, and I looked at her arm, and she had these cut marks, up and down her arm, and I didn't say anything, but my wife was looking at it, and she said she said something to my wife. She looked at my wife and she said, I've just been really sad and everything, because I guess you could obviously see he was looking at her arm and whatever, and she told us that she was cutting herself because she was you know, she was sad or whatever and depressed. And I told her, I said, we'll be praying for you or whatever. But she looked like she probably had been abused or something, because she had her hair cut short and she had baggy clothes on and she was real slim. And I was like, man, whatever the pain, the anguish or whatever that was in her, she was releasing it by cutting herself and not understanding that she was putting herself into more bondage. But what's the difference between that and you getting the tattoos? It's still the same principle. You're cutting yourself in your skin. But if you looked at her, you would say, oh, she's crazy. You need to take her to a doctor. Something psycho with her cutting her arm like that. But what's the difference between you getting a picture cut into your arm? At least hers probably could go away after it's scabbed out and you just see that. But you got pictures and stuff on your arm, right? That's, even though they fade there, it's still going to be there. So when Yeshua come back, the second time is going to be the same as when he came the first time. It's going to be a lot of demonically filled people. Just, it's going to be a lot. Not just because of tattoos, but I'm just stating what I see out here, right? And so we definitely need to ask the Most High to give us deliverance from this as black people, as Hebrew people out of our communities. Because like I said, now, you got old women, old men, you got, people getting, pretty much a tattoo every payday. I heard some of them say, every payday I'm going to get a new tattoo. And I'm like, where you going to have any place on your body left when the Bible says that our body is the temple of the Most High Spirit, right? And that we're not to grieve the Spirit. Did you see a lot of graffiti on the temple? Did somebody take paint and just paint graffiti all on Yah's earthly temple? No, they didn't. And even and understand this as a priest, right? The Bible said back when the Levitical priesthood was when you was coming forth to minister as a Levite, if you had any blemish, I'm talking about natural blemish, that you was born with a natural blemish, he said you could not minister before the Most High Yah. You couldn't do it. But yet you're gonna tell me some of these guys come in here and they tattooed, they look like something from a circus sideshow and stuff, that these people are actually saying we're ministering to the Most High Yah with all this stuff on their face and their arm. I don't believe it. I'm not buying it, right? Now, again, if you're born again or whatever, you're definitely, I can't deny that you're a new creature, but I'm telling you that your old man is gonna be more visible than other people's old men, right? In the sense of the old man, this man of sin, all of that. Especially if you got skulls and demons and all this stuff tattooed all on you, man, I'm telling you, you're gonna need some deliverance. It actually was a movie back in the 1970s, and I can't remember the movie right now, but the man was basically tattooed from head to toe. But every tattoo that he had on his body, he said it was a story. And he told this one young guy, he said, don't look too hard at my tattoos. He said, because they'll come alive to you or whatever. And he said, so anyway, what happened? The guy was looking at the, tattoos, just like the man told him not to. And every time he looked, he was having these visions and crazy dreams off of that tattoo. And one of the tattoos that he looked at in the dream or the vision, he seen the man with the tattoo killing him. So he woke up and he looked at the he said, well, if this guy's gonna kill me, I better kill him first. So he took a big rock and hit the guy upside the head, and he thought he had killed him. So later on, right, as he was running away, he went and laid down, and as he was, because this was set back in like the 1930s or something like that, during the Depression era, when people were just drifting around the country. When he laid down, he went to sleep. When he woke up, the man with the tattoos, his face was all messed up, right? From where the guy had took the rock and bashed him. And he remembered this, the scene in the dream. And in the scene in the dream, the tattooed man's face was messed up and he was strangling him to death. And he came to understand he was falling. He had fell right into the vision of what he had seen on that man's tattooed body. There is something satanic and occultic about these tattoos. And I'm telling you now that as Yeshua get ready to come back, he said he coming for a bride without spot or wrinkle. If you can afford it, if you can do it, get that stuff off of you. I'm not saying you're not born again or whatever, but he's not liking this stuff, right? He said if he don't come back, he said there will be, he said the righteous scarcely make it in. What about the ungodly and those that don't know him? So with that, I'm going to ask you to give this video a thumbs up. I'm going to ask you to subscribe. I'm going to ask you to be blessed. Leave a comment.